Karen Whitfield's flawlessly polished nails trembled as she ripped open the padded envelope she had just stolen from my front porch. She stood inside her garage, the door barely cracked open so she could keep an eye on the street. That familiar smug expression, loathed by every resident of Willowbrook Estates, played on her lips. But as her hand reached into the envelope and pulled out what was inside, her smugness gave way to shock. A small device with a blinking red light dropped into her palm, followed by a card marked with bold, chilling words. Property of the U.S. government. Tampering is a federal offense, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. My name is Marcus Chen. I had only lived in this overregulated suburban nightmare for 3 months. As a cybersecurity contractor working odd hours from home, I thought the quiet streets of Willowbrook would be ideal for focusing on sensitive government assignments. What I didn't account for was Karen Whitfield. The self-proclaimed monarch of the HOA Karen ran our cul-de-sac like her own petty kingdom, enforcing arbitrary rules through passive-aggressive emails and monthly newsletters. From day one, she made it clear she didn't trust me. Maybe it was the closed blinds during my work hours, or the late-night deliveries from my international clients. Or maybe she just needed a new victim after forcing the previous homeowner to sell over a non-compliant shade of front door paint. It started subtly. She'd slow her walk outside my house to peek through the windows while parading her constantly yapping Pomeranian. Then came the bogus citations, claims that my grass was a fraction of an inch too tall, or that my recycling bin had been visible from the street for too long. But when the secure packages started arriving more frequently, Karen's idle curiosity morphed into full-blown obsession. She began documenting every delivery, snapping photos of trucks, creating a detailed log she proudly shared at HOA board meetings. According to my neighbor Tom, who attended those meetings for the entertainment, Karen had everyone convinced I was running an illegal enterprise. She told them my packages were unusually heavy, and that the drivers looked nervous, which was ironic, considering they were just trying to avoid being interrogated by her. Soon she escalated further. Karen began approaching delivery drivers, demanding to know the contents of the packages. One poor UPS guy told me she followed him back to his truck, insisting he give her shipping documents for the safety of the neighborhood. That's when I knew I had to act. During a regular security debrief with my federal liaison, Agent Sarah Coleman, I mentioned the increasing mail interference. To my surprise, she didn't just take note, she got excited. Her department had been planning a sting operation to test mail security in suburban neighborhoods, and my HOA drama gave them the perfect opportunity. The plan was simple. They'd send me a series of decoy packages rigged with non-dangerous tracking devices, designed to resemble classified materials. If someone tampered with one, the device would trigger alerts across federal systems, activating an immediate response. I agreed, partly because I care about cybersecurity, but mostly because I was fed up. For 2 weeks, packages arrived on schedule. Predictably, Karen's surveillance increased. She installed a camera pointed at my porch, ironically violating her own HOA rules. She texted me demanding I retrieve my deliveries for community safety, and even timed how long they sat outside. Then came the day everything changed. I deliberately let one package sit out longer than usual, knowing Karen was hosting her weekly HOA board meeting. I watched the whole thing unfold on my high-resolution security system. She kept glancing out her window during the meeting, clearly fixated on the box. By 2:15 p.m., meeting concluded, she was on the move. Karen walked across my yard like she owned it, looking around to make sure no one was watching, unaware she was being recorded from multiple angles. In one swift move, she grabbed the package and scurried back to her house. I sent Agent Coleman a text. Fish took the bait. Inside her garage, Karen probably felt victorious. She had no idea that by opening that package, she had triggered a cascade of events no HOA title could shield her from. The internal sensor noted the breach, logging the time, temperature, and location. The GPS kicked in instantly. Federal alerts lit up servers. The operation was a go. I watched from my window as the quiet streets of Willowbrook slowly filled with unmarked black SUVs. They crept forward with purpose, windows tinted, agents inside prepared for action. And Karen, still in her garage, still examining her stolen prize, remained completely unaware of the storm about to descend on her. The first hint Karen had that things weren't right came when she finally stepped out of her garage and froze. Her heels clicked to a stop on the driveway as her eyes swept the street, taking in the line of unfamiliar vehicles, black SUVs, all with government tags. I saw the confusion spread across her face just before her phone rang. My window was open, and while I couldn't hear the words, the rising pitch in her voice said enough. Exactly 20 minutes later, there was a knock at her door. Not the casual rap of a neighbor asking for flour. This was firm, deliberate. The kind of knock that comes with consequences. I stepped onto my porch with my watering can, pretending to tend to my plants. Really, I was just in time for the main event. Standing at Karen's door was Agent Coleman, backed by two fellow agents. Her badge gleamed in the sunlight like a silent warning. Karen opened the door wearing her trademark fake smile, the one she reserved for writing up HOA violations. But that smile didn't last. It melted away the second Agent Coleman introduced herself and produced the warrant. The whole neighborhood seemed to magically appear at that moment. Dogs suddenly needed walking. Mailboxes got visited. Everyone was in earshot. Mrs. Whitfield, Agent Coleman began, cool and professional, we have evidence that you tampered with federal mail and disrupted an active government operation. We need you to come with us for questioning. Karen's voice shot up several octaves as she panicked. This is absurd. I'm the HOA president. I was just checking for threats. What if it was a bomb or drugs? Agent Coleman didn't flinch. The package you took had a tracking device. We monitored your movements from the moment you removed it from Mr. Chen's porch. Mail theft is a federal offense, Mrs. Whitfield. Your HOA title doesn't exempt you. Silence rippled across the crowd as the agents took Karen by the arms and led her toward one of the SUVs. Her signature blowout was now frizzy from sweat. Her carefully pressed blazer crumpled. Tom, my neighbor, couldn't resist a jab. Hey Karen, pretty sure this isn't covered in HOA bylaws. Might want to check section 12.3. Some snickers followed, but most people were too stunned to laugh. As the SUV disappeared down the road, Agent Coleman turned toward me. Loud enough for the others to hear, she said I had been helping the agency test weaknesses in federal mail delivery. All the packages Karen had harassed me about were authorized parts of a sting operation. Ironically, Karen's obsessive notes and constant surveillance, intended to frame me, became evidence of her criminal behavior. She tracked everything too well. Later that evening, the neighborhood buzzed like never before. The emergency HOA meeting was standing room only. Without Karen to gavel things into order, the vice president nervously tried to maintain control. The first order of business. A unanimous vote to strip Karen of her role as president. The second. A formal apology to me. That too passed easily. But Karen's problems were just beginning. Federal prosecutors charged her with theft of mail, a crime carrying up to 5 years in prison and fines reaching $250,000. On top of that, they added obstruction of a federal investigation, an extra potential 3 years. Her attorney, who likely cost her most of her retirement fund, argued she was performing her civic duty. The judge wasn't buying it. Local media caught wind of the story. Headlines read, HOA president caught in federal sting operation. The video of Karen in cuffs was everywhere online, shared with captions like Karen versus the feds and when HOA power trips go too far. The fallout was swift. Her real estate agency, one of the top firms in the area, terminated her contract under their morality clause. Her face, once plastered proudly across bus stop benches, became a town-wide joke. Locals took selfies next to them with the tag #FederalKaren. Eventually, she struck a plea deal. The terms: 2 years probation, $50,000 in fines, and 200 hours of community service, specifically educating others about federal mail laws. And in what might have been the deepest blow, she was banned from holding any HOA office for the next 10 years. At her sentencing, Karen looked like a shadow of her former self. Gone was the commanding woman who once patrolled lawns with a ruler. She stood before the judge and in a shaky voice said, I let my authority get the better of me. What I did wasn't civic, it was criminal. The financial costs crushed her. The fine drained her savings, and legal fees added another $30,000 in debt. When the judge announced the final sentence, Karen's composure finally cracked. A sob escaped her lips and echoed through the courtroom. probation, a permanent criminal record, a destroyed career, and worst of all for Karen, a future without the HOA power she once wielded like a sword.